Hello, BookTube, and I'm back with another Desert Island Books with Jenny. Say hello, Jenny.
Hi.
And there's actually several people here. Like we're starting right out. Like it says zero on here that are watching, but I've got four uh comments. So clearly that doesn't work. The zero doesn't work. At least on my end. Got Sadra here. Hi, can't wait to enjoy and learn from another episode. Well, thank you for that. The Thrifty Reader. Hello, Shawn and Jenny. Hello. Aaron's here.
Hello,
And
Aaron.
Maria's here. Hello, the gang's all here. Oh, and Joseph's here too.
Oh, more people.
Yeah. Oh, now it says six. So that kind of makes sense. So, okay, we'll jump right in. And as usual, tell us something about yourself, Jenny. And you have a BookTube channel, or so tell us something about the BookTube channel, why you started it, and what you'd like to do with it.
What I plan to do with it, I have no idea.
Or
There's literally
what,
only 3 videos on it.
what you'd like to do, then maybe, or like explore the possibilities, what you could do with it, maybe.
I wouldn't mind being like all the others and actually make more videos, but I can't motivate myself to do them. I might just stick with the tags at first, just till I get used to it. Although it's literally just 2 tags, and then the third video is just me in a dinosaur suit running around the shopping centre.
That was actually a good one.
It was funny. It's got my most views as well.
And I do apologize. I seem to be strobing between blue and orange for some strange reason. I don't know why. Or at least it looks like that for me. Yes, there you go. Blue, orange, blue, orange. Okay. Forget about that. Tell us something about yourself, or what you would like anyone to know. And don't tell us anything you don't want us to know.
It depends on really what you want to know.
Well, no, what you want us to know.
40 years old, worked in retail forever. Just feels like retail owns my soul now. I wouldn't mind being able to retire now, just read my books. And I'm just sick of peopling. But it's not.
And
I'm a very
read.
boring person.
Well, no, you read, so you can't be boring. Yeah, so but you don't you mostly have, well, for this exercise you will be thinking about taking 8 physical books.
Yeah,
Is that
physical
right?
books.
Yeah.
At least I
But
own 3. I've got 3 of them physical. The rest are all digital.
that's what I was going to say. So mostly you read digital books,
Yeah,
for the most part.
Kindle all the way.
Ooh,
Despite how much everybody hates Amazon.
yeah. That's where you hold up the cross, to fend off the evil. Gavin's here, genre books, and Winter Lindy. Hello. So okay, well, yeah. So we're still a mystery about Jenny, other than she reads and Scottish, or I was thinking of that video that I said British.
Aye, we're Scottish all the way. We're only British when when we fuck something up.
I
No,
love the
usually it's the other
scene.
way around. Sorry, we're British when we're doing well, Scottish when we're doing badly.
I love the scene with you from a Train Spotting, where they're out in the country and or they're going somewhere to drink, and he says, we're I forget the whole scene, but he's talking about how, like we're colonized by wankers, the British or something like that. And it's hilarious rant that he does in Train Spotting. Um, okay, well, I guess we can just jump right in then to the books. I've got the list. Oh, that's the one thing I want to say. Usually, I know most books that people choose, but Jenny, I don't. And I thought originally, well, maybe I'll look those up and look up the authors and learn something beforehand, so I could ask some actual questions. But I thought, well, let's do it a little differently. I haven't done that. So they're coming to me blind, some of the authors, and then we'll just from what you say, I'll see if I can have some intelligent questions other than roll my eyes.
Mines are really going to seem dumb compared to everybody else's, though.
Well, how? Like, well, I do know a few of them. That's the thing. I do know a few of them, but for the most part, I don't, because one of them has a very similar title. At least, no, it has the same title once you read it, but when it's
It's what
spelled,
throws everybody.
yeah,
Everyone's like, "Oh, you read that?" I'm like, "No, not wrong author."
yeah. So let's start with the first one,
Which is
whichever that one happens to be.
my very, very obvious one.
A Black Book.
Yes, it's Lord of the Rings, my favorite book of all time. I don't know if that turns up. Does that turn up the right way around?
It does, yeah.
Or is it
But
backwards?
it's weird because it disappears at times. It disappears.
Oh, it's just, I might need to turn the background off then. Where is that? Virtual background. None. There we go. Ta-da. There you go.
Yeah.
So, this is the one my sister bought me. It's never been read, nor will it be read. It's my pretty edition.
Now, why is that? Well, I know that's your probably, if not the favorite book, one of your favorite books. Why and when? How did you discover it?
Back in, when the films first came out, I missed the first one because I wasn't that impressed with it. When you saw the trailers for it, I thought, oh, it just looks like a silly little film. I won't lie, I saw a pirate copy, 2002. And I've been hooked to it ever since. Because I went down to visit my dad. He had the copy, watched the first film, glued to the entire 3 hours. As soon as I got home, straight to Waterstones, got my book, not this edition, the one that's literally falling apart, which I still have. And I read that one, and I've been a massive fan ever since. Because it's what got me back into reading fantasy. I hadn't read it for a long time, apart from maybe the urban fantasy stuff. And then I was like, oh no, I remembered I liked this stuff.
So it was a movie that got you back into reading. Yeah.
And it was one of the few times where I actually read Two Towers and Return of the King before I'd seen the films. Normally I watch the films first and then read the books, because then the films don't make me angry when they change things. But if I do it the other way around, they tend to make me angry.
Yeah. But a lot of people seem to. I have not seen the film. Well, I have not read the books, nor have I seen the films. So, but a lot of people that I hear and people have spoken to, they like the adaptation of the films, and
I love them.
Think it's quite accurate. Yeah,
I'm one of those weird ones. I even enjoy the Hobbit films, not as much as I'll enjoy the first trilogy. The Lord of the Rings was done well. What they changed needed to be changed. I mean, it's still sad. You would really wish they'd made Tom Bombadil, but you could not make that character work in a film.
Well, that's I've always said that there's things that you can do on the page that you can't do in film, and there's things you can do in film that you can't do on the page. It works both ways. But hopefully, a good director will actually, substitute something that works, but will give the same feeling or idea that comes across that's in the book, which they can't do.
I think the one that made me laugh was the fact that Christopher Tolkien said he didn't like the film because they made it into an action film. I'm like, there's actually more fight scenes in the books than there are in the films. They actually took a few of them out.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that. So he didn't like the film.
No.
Oh, okay.
He thought they basically made it a little too kind of actiony, like, no, there's more fight scenes in the books.
Well, like that may seem like that, I suppose, because I'm thinking, because it takes you longer to read the book, so therefore the scenes between the fights seem longer, and then it seems to be compressed in the film. So that
there's like one fight in particular, they took it out completely. It's in the scene before they even get to the Mines of Moria. There's a big fight with the wargs, and they don't even have that in the film. Mind you, in the Two Towers, they put fights in that weren't in the book. So they kind of balance each other out.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. And how many times now? Well, okay. When oh no. First of all, because I'm backing up. When did you first read it? You said when
I read it in 2002 for the first time.
Okay. And how many times have you read it since?
About 10, 11 times. It's only been like the last like 8 years in particular I've read it every single year now. And I space out, so I've got the Silmarillion, the Hobbit, then all 3 of the Lord of the Rings. And as of next year, I'll be adding in the rest of them. I'll read them more often.
The rest? What do you mean? Sorry, who?
Christopher Tolkien basically expanded like the Children of Húrin, the Fall of Gondolin, and Beren and Luthien stories. So you get more, they get fleshed out a bit more. And they're quite good as well so far. I still have to read Fall of Numenor, actually.
So that's a good solid month's reading, if not more, a couple months reading out of every year.
I'm supposed to, well, what I'll do is I put them on my TBR and I spread them out so it's 1 book per month. But it never happens like that. I start and I get kind of sucked in and I read them all pretty much one after the other. Especially The Lord of the Rings, because it's Andy Serkis does the narration for the audiobooks. And he's really good at it.
I don't think I've never heard of the name, so but which doesn't say much anyway, or it says much about me maybe.
Well, he played Gollum, and he's really good at like voices and stuff as well. So he kind of sounds a bit like the actors when he's playing the characters. It's like so much fun.
So what are there particular things about Lord of the Rings that you like, or is there one thing that you like? Like, is it the setting, the characters, that type of thing, or is it the whole package?
It is the whole package, but I do love particularly the fact that it's healthy relationship, like friends. So it's like you get to see them like really bond, and it's like the best bromance ever. Especially when you've got like Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, and then you've got Merry and Pippin. Merry and Pippin are my favorite. Their banter is just brilliant. They kind of remind me of me and my best friend.
Okay, this because this is now raising a question for me because I don't know the story. Well, I roughly know the story. I have seen a cartoon of it, but Merry and Pippin. So are those female characters then, or
no? They're the 2 hobbits that go with Sam and Frodo. So they're the other 2 hobbits.
Called Merry.
Yeah, Merry and his name's Meriadoc, but he gets called Merry.
Okay.
Which is fun when you've got, I think it's certain people around the world when they keep calling him Mary. It's like, no, it's Merry, like Merry Christmas.
And okay, so because I know Christopher Tolkien has done, like you say, those other bits, but there's like 12 volumes, isn't it, or something like that he did?
Oh, that's separate. That's like fleshing out world building and things like that, and parts
so
that
those
is
are different.
They're a whole separate thing. I mean, I've got some of them as well. So it's got like a lot of J.R.R. Tolkien's, like all the little bits that he'd written, but he'd never actually fleshed any of that out. So they've got like the unfinished tales, where he started parts of the stories and then just dropped them. Never got around to finishing them. A lot of his background details, as well as what he was intending to do with the Fourth Age, which is a shame we never got that. It sounded interesting.
Is that well? What's the Amazon TV series?
An Abomination. That's what that is. It's technically set in the Second Age, so it's set before everything that happened, but that show is horrific.
So its Third Age is...
Yeah, so the Lord of the Rings is the Third Age, or towards the end of the Third Age. The Rings of Power is supposed to be set throughout some of the Second Age up to the end of the Second Age. It's supposed to end with the end of the Second Age.
Okay, and then did he ever deal with a First Age?
He's written it all in the Silmarillion, so it literally starts with how the world was created when it was sang into existence all the way through, and it even skims over everything that happened in the Third Age. So you basically, if you read, I think it's the last chapter of Silmarillion, you get the entire trilogy, all of this condensed into one chapter.
Oh, that might be the best way for me to read it.
The Silmarillion's not a lightweight though, and it's a tough read if you're not used to that sort of thing. It's the way they try to tell people to read it is to read it like short story collection, because they're not always like fluidly joined.
Yeah, because
it's kind of like the Bible.
A friend of mine who likes Lord of the Rings and knows that I read The Hobbit and didn't care for The Hobbit, and I do realize, and I'll back that up to say that I know it's different from Lord of the Rings. But from that, he says I probably like the Silmarillion better than even Lord of the Rings. But but I need to read Lord of the Rings first, and I'm not sure.
You don't need to, because technically, okay, the Lord of the Rings it's covered in the Silmarillion. So basically, the Lord of the Rings, it's got like little snippets of the Silmarillion in it. All the Silmarillion does is it gives you more context, so you actually understand what they're talking about.
Well, someday I will get to it, because we were supposed to mark at Book Time with Elvis, I think a couple of years ago, but I think we did Hobbit, and like I say, I don't know why. There's some books that just take me a long time to read, and they're short. And then I get long books that I can read really quickly, and it's just because I don't want to go back to them, and that's the way I felt with Hobbit. I know it's sacrilege; everybody loves it, but it just for some reason didn't work for me.
It is meant for kids, so it makes sense.
I think
so it's very simplistic in how they do everything.
Yeah, I think that was it, because to me it was I don't mind kids stuff. Like I'll read Paddington Bear, and I love it because I don't find the authors talking down to the reader, and I found that Tolkien was talking down to the reader, and that'll work for children, yeah, but obviously it didn't work for me.
Well, he's definitely not in Silmarillion or Lord of the Rings.
That's what I'm told, so that's why that could very well be different. And I'm also scared that I might actually really like it and like fantasy. Oh my god, that
fantasy is fun.
That will not do.
Well, the fun thing is, if you believe it, it's technically our prehistory, not Kane fantasy.
Go through a few questions or comments here. Mystery and Mayhem. Jim's here. Hello, Sean. Good to see you, Jenny. And Jim says he liked the Hobbit films as well. So, and I hear a lot of people don't for some reason.
Yeah. It's not as bad as folk make it. I mean, it's a bit CGI heavy, but they did point out that, I mean, they are 10 years older, and they brought a lot of the cast back. They're not as young as the ones were. I mean, Sir Ian McKellen can't exactly run around like he did in the first one.
The mix says, good evening. Joseph C. On the eve of the first film, the quote from Christopher Tolkien was, I don't disagree with the films. Okay. Constance Campbell, hello. Saying hello to Gavin. Love your hair, Jenny. Sassy.
I know, it's all like really short now. It's been like that since January, and I love it shorter. It's so much easier.
Come on, somebody's got to back me up here. When I first saw you again, your hair looks darker. Right? It must be the lighting or something. It looks darker than it was, and I'm going, you've changed your hair, and it's like you just made it shorter.
If anything, it's technically all my natural hair color now, so maybe that's what's so different about it. So it's like all the hair dye's been cut out now. Although I am intending to dye it again. Hi, Pat.
And she says, a great shirt.
Yes, I got MJ's.
Okay, well, that's enough fantasy for now. We won't be talking.
When you say that, most of my options are fantasy.
Well, that's why, like, almost every single. Yeah, no, it has. We'll see what happens with this one, because every Desert Island books that I've done, it's either there's a new book that I'll discover that I want to read, or go back to something that I reread and I never even thought of rereading it. So we'll see. I don't know if a reread on this occasion, but let's see if there's a new book that I want to read. So,
which order do you want me to do it in? The order that I sent them to you?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Or do you want me to do the 3 physical first?
Split up the physical.
All right, so we'll go this one. I don't know how well you can tell that, actually.
I can't see it at all.
I wonder how easy that is to tell. Oops, a daisy. Go away. So this is For Whom the Bell Tolls by J.C. Lynn. To this day, the only romantasy that I have ever thoroughly enjoyed. It's like when she wrote that because she's on TikTok. It's part of her skit. I think part of why I love it so much is because I already knew the characters, because this is her debut novel as well. Oh, just did that wrong. And it's basically about the lassie Lily. When she dies of cancer, she basically goes to hell. Well, she doesn't go to hell, she goes to the afterlife. And she decides to help out in hell by creating a help desk, just so she can be sassy and sarcastic to everybody. And it's one of the first things she tells one of the others. It's like, everything you've ever wanted to say in retail, go for it. And it's brilliant. One of the best characters is Sharky, who was a 8-year-old running around in a shark onesie and grows up in the afterlife, and all she wants to do is bite people. But the book was kind of brutal, so it's like some of it is, I mean, it is a romantasy, so it is a lot of fun, but there's some really emotional parts. I remember sitting at work and damn near sobbed my eyes out. I was like, oh, this is so wrong. And most of it's just the characters' backstories. You're just like, that's harsh. But it's good. It's a good laugh. It's basically just a prequel to what she's done on TikTok, though.
So you say it's a romantasy. Now, how does that work?
So in the afterlife, it's basically her. The main story is about her falling in love with one of the demons that is the Prince of Hell, or a Prince of Hell, sorry. But it's also other things. It's like obviously the found family, how Lily basically creates herself her own family. But the way J.C. Lynn wrote the like the other gods as well, like Lucifer's really funny in it, and she meets with like Persephone and a lot of these other mythological deities, and it's like some of them are just brilliant. Succubus is quite fun. I like her character as well, Angel.
So has romantasy always been around that you know, or is it just something that's new, or has it been around and all of a sudden a book sparked a bunch of, I guess, imitators, or just that all of a sudden people started searching out new romance?
I think it's been around for a while, but mostly I think it was just fantasy stories that happen to have love stories throughout them. It's since Sarah J. Maas, it kind of blew up and it's everywhere. It's like, I think about 60-70% of most fantasies that come out, at least traditionally speaking, are romantasies now. And like, I'm sick of this. Give me proper fantasy, please.
See, I know the name that Sarah J. Maas. I didn't realize that she wrote fantasy. So
yeah, it's mostly romantasy that she writes. So she's got her Throne of Glass series, and she's got her Akatar series, which is basically like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. At least the first one is. And then she's got her new series, which is much more urban fantasy. And then for some reason, she connected all three of them. And you're like, okay. I've only read like one so far, though, of her books. They're like the junk food equivalent of books. You know it's not good for you, but you can't seem to stop reading them. They're so bingeable. Which, from what I heard, is probably what Fourth Wing's like, but I refuse to start Fourth Wing. For multiple reasons.
So would this be something you think I would enjoy?
You might enjoy some of the humor, but the rest of it maybe not. It's got some spice in it. But the characters are fun. But if I had to choose between that and Lord of the Rings, no, you're going to enjoy Lord of the Rings way more. It's a little too well, it depends on how you handle normal romance, I suppose.
I don't really care for romance. Well, okay. If a book is all about the romance, I don't really care for it. And that goes for a book that is all about X, Y, or Z. If it's only about that, or 99% of it, and there's not much else in there, unless it's a topic that I like, then I'm not going to really probably enjoy the book. If there's a sprinkling of this, sprinkling of that, then that's okay. But if it's like the main characters are sitting there talking about how to rebuild car engines, I'm not really going to care for it that much. Sorry, I just glanced at a comment here. So let's jump to that one. And I'm going, yeah, probably. that would tempt me. That would tempt me. Where
Yeah,
was I?
I reckon that one's definitely way too much romance for you then.
Yeah, so if it's concentrated on something like that, like I say motor repair or something like that, and I look at it the same way, and I'm not interested. All about sports, and if it's every character is talking about sports all the time, I'm not interested. Unless Louise Brooks is in there, okay, then I might be interested. But yeah, so that's the thing with romance that I like I say, if there's sprinkling of these things, it's okay. It's okay. But if that's the thrust of it, then a lot of times, yeah, I don't really. And then you add on the fantasy part. For me, is sort of like, again, then that's that's, I guess, two demerits from it. Right off the go, right at the go. So that's that yeah, probably wouldn't work.
Yeah, it's a good 60-65% at least romance.
Maria says here, romance within the story is fine, but building a story around romance is nothing. Yeah, that she put it a lot better than I did. But yeah, that's basically it for me. But then people love that, and it's like, and I love science fiction, and that's where I can read schlocky science fiction, because if the idea is okay, then that works for me. But I can understand somebody else not liking that, because it's in the same way that the story is built around that, and they go, oh, that's not very interesting, and I can understand that.
I mean, the one good thing about things like romantasy is it does get more people reading fantasy who normally only read romance. And you're like, see, fantasy's not that scary. And then you hope that eventually they'll try some of the harder stuff. God, it
Well,
makes it sound like drugs.
Yeah, I'm now sort of realizing that about Star Wars, which I've usually always been down about Star Wars, but it brought people into the fold of science fiction, so that's good, and it's like anything. If it brings, well, it's like, people have always been down about comic books and stuff like this. If they actually get into reading and read other stuff, I suppose if they just stay at that level, then it really hasn't done a whole lot. Maybe it's like, well, comics or Harry Potter. If the person starts out at Harry Potter and stays at Harry Potter level, and doesn't read anything else 20 or 30 years later, then you could kind of wonder, well, has it really led them into reading and exploring reading? They haven't. They're still reading, but it hasn't prompted them to explore for some reason. And that's the thing I don't quite understand, because it's like, I always think too that when I watch film, I usually wind up reading something about it. If I really like the film, then I want to read the book if it's based on a book, or if it's about real characters or things or events, then I want to read about those events. Like you watched Lord of the Rings and want to read the books, and then explore more around that world. And that's how, to me, how reading should be. That's or not should be. It's one of the joys of reading, because it opens up doors and you go down rabbit holes. And I find that really fun. Mark's here. Hello. So yeah, romantasy though. I wonder if 5 years from now they'll still be they'll still be popular, or is it one of these flash in the pans?
Maybe in about 5 years it might be starting to die out, but at the moment it's way too popular. I mean, Onyx Storm sold like 3 million copies before it even came out. It was all on pre-orders.
Wow.
Which I don't get.
Like
but hey, if folk like it, folk like it.
Yeah, well, I guess it's like pure romance. Some of this stuff, like these people write it, they write it under pseudonyms and they get contracts with Harlequin and all these things, and those sell into the millions. So
Mhm.
I don't know how much the writers get, but if it only takes you a week to write the book, whatever you get is got to be half decent.
It's what makes you laugh, though, when you realise everybody looks down on romance, and yet it's the most popular genre by far.
Yeah.
Like, well, it can't be that bad. Everybody seems to enjoy it. But I think it's because it's like a safe sort of thing. Everybody knows exactly how the beats are going to play out, because actual romance has rules to it. Everything else is kind of hit or miss. So it's got to end in a happily ever after. So at least you know in the end it's going to be happy.
Oh, is that all romance then?
For it to be classed as an official romance, it has to end up in a happily ever after, or I believe it's a happy for now. So if it's like a sequel, they can still break up but then get back together again. And if it doesn't, it's just classed as either women's fiction or a love story. It's not an actual romance.
Okay. That I didn't know.
I only know that because I watched a couple of the actual romance channels, like Sarah at the Bookish Knitter. She obviously loves romance. But you're like, yeah, it has rules.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. Well, which I can understand, because people, you do want to watch, or not watch, but you want something that's comfortable, and it's a comfort. It's like comfort food. You don't want comfort food that you enjoy, and then all of a sudden it tastes different.
Mhm.
You definitely don't. Marx is driven by publishers as much as readers. Yeah,
Mhm.
that kind of makes sense.
Well, I'd heard a few, I don't know if it's true, but a few publishers have gone to the authors that they've got and says, do you have a romantasy or do you have a cozy fantasy? Please give it to us. If you don't have one, how fast can you write it?
Well, that's the thing. Like, if somebody can write, I don't know, this might be a heresy to say this, but if somebody can write, like, grammatically correct easily and quickly, it can't be that difficult to pump out a 250-page script. If you could sit there literally and just type away and
Look at
actually
Brandon Sanderson. He publishes at least 2 to 3 books a year, and they're all chunky buggers.
Okay, well, yeah, we just think, if you write 10 pages a day, let's say 15, you could do a 250-page book in a month, can't you?
Probably. I mean, I think that was what NaNoWriMo started off as well. 50,000 words in 1 month. And that was only, what was it, like 1,600 words a day?
Yeah, and if you could sit there, and if you got the storyline in your head, and you can actually, spell correctly, like properly, unlike me, and grammatically correct, that doesn't seem like a lot of work. Like, that just seems like a few hours in the evening. That's what it seems like.
Well, even these days, you don't even need to be that grammatically correct. I mean, you've got like things like Grammarly and spell check will do all of that for you. Grammarly even tells you how to fix your grammar. Like if you're wanting it to sound a specific way, it'll tweak it for you, or at least it'll give you hints on how to change it. It's up to you if you want to change it.
Yeah, and it's just, I think at that point you just need the connections with the publishers. That's all you need. Like, if you're actually a writer that they just throw stuff at you, you're what they always call the hack writer. Why not? You can make a good living on it. Like I say, 3 hours work in an evening, and then the rest of the day's your own.
I know.
I can't even get out a decent text. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I asked somebody can you do desert island books? And I actually sent them, can you do desert island books? So the answer was, well, they're diabetic. Okay. Yeah, I can't even spell desert. If you two co-wrote a romance, what would the title be? Oh, God.
Crash and burn.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's a good title. Yeah. And that actually could work, because people go, because if it's under romance, they're going to want to know, how does that work? How does crash and bone? How how does crash and burn turn into a romance? Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah. So you write the first sentence, I'll write the second sentence, and we'll just flip back and forth and see where it goes. That could be pretty scary because you got those, because people do that, the round robin stories,
Yeah, I
and
remember things like that. We used to do something like that at school as well,
yeah,
where you could literally only see the sentence before you to try and fill it in. You're like, this is not going to make any sense, but some of them were so funny.
that's a cool thing. We should actually do that as a bunch of booktubers and see what would happen. Pick a genre and just riff on it and see where it goes.
Or better yet, don't everybody pick a different genre
Yeah.
and watch the literal genre mash.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, okay, yes. See, is that a Freudian skip? Perfect. Yeah. I actually kind of like that idea. Maybe we should come back to that at some point. Let's come back to that. Let's shelve that, or what's the saying? We'll park that for the moment. Isn't that the business way of saying? Let's park that. A guy with a cowboy hat and pick up on the cover. Yeah.
As long as he has a dog.
Yeah, and then maybe a spaceship in the background or something like that, or possible alien or something like that, or
and armed with a sword instead of a gun. Literally get them all.
Yeah, or a dog with that's part. Oh no, that's getting a little weird now.
Oh, you could have Canine then. Came from Doctor Who.
Yeah. Okay, well let's move on from that.
Okay, which one's next? That would be... Next one is... Ta-da! Oh god, that's going to look really bad on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't really see that one.
Can you take the brightness down on the one?
I don't think it works that well because it's such a white cover. There we go.
That's better, yeah.
Ta-da! James Herbert, The Fog.
Yeah.
The very first horror I ever read. No, second horror, sorry, I ever read. Which I stole from my dad. I was 8.
So that's Brian Herbert's uncle.
Yeah.
That's a different way of saying it. It's like saying Bob's your father's brother.
Well, in my case, it really was. I had an Uncle Bob. Oh, yeah. Bob was my uncle. No, I remember reading it because it was because of the film. It was like I was telling you before, it was the John Carpenter movie. And I thought this film, I was like, oh, the book version of it. Got 2 chapters in. I was like, this is confusing. My dad looked at me, you idiot. It's not based on the film. I was like, that makes more sense because there's no ghosts in this. It's obviously it's a fog that comes up out of the ground, makes everybody crazy. Very, very crazy. And then they either hurt themselves or hurt other people, usually both. And there's a couple of those scenes that are like permanently seared into my brain. Like there's the scene at the school with the schoolboys, and you're like, I can't get that scene out of my head. It makes Lord of the Flies look positively tame.
So when was this written?
Oh god, I have no idea. The 70s, I think.
See, I always thought it was based, or the film was based on that, because I remember seeing the film and then coming across a book called The Fog, about a fog.
Yeah, I thought that as well, because I know they have made a few of his films into a few of his books into films. There was like 2 of them I'd watched, and weirdly enough, they Americanized both of them because obviously James Herbert's British. He's basically the British Stephen King, just far more succinct. And some of them they've actually quite good films. Although what was it, the last one I read? It was Jeffrey Dean Morgan was in it. It was in the film. I can't remember the name of the film now either. It's on Netflix. But they even changed the ending. I was like, they gave it a happier ending. I don't like that. I don't know what it is about Americans not liking the bleak and bitter endings.
Well, they used to do that all the time. Like they're like, as most people know, I'm a silent film aficionado, and Europe would make silent films at a certain time, a European country, but then they'd make a Russian version where like it's pretty good scene where it ends where the person like being saved on a rope going from ship to ship before the ship sinks. And in the release version, the international version, the person's saved, and for the Russian version they fall and die. That's the Russian version. So
it's the amount of people that didn't realize there's two different versions of the movie Descent for the same reason. The Americans didn't like that ending. It's like, well, it kind of makes sense because if you watch the sequel, it only makes sense if you watch the American version. If you watch the British one, the sequel makes no sense. But you're just like, I quite like a morbid ending every now and then.
yeah, well, that's the thing. It is but that's the thing. Usually, the morbid endings don't have you can't really get a sequel out of it unless you resurrect them or something like that. And it's like how many times have they resurrected Dracula? For that, he's not really dead. But then again, it's supernatural or it's science fiction, so you can do anything. It's like Doctor Who's a perfect example. Oh crap, we finished it. The actor doesn't want to continue. What do you do?
It's handy when they can just regenerate.
Yeah.
Or then when they cheated and they regenerated him back to David Tennant. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And Gavin says, yes, Herbert. And there's always, there's a prequel, I guess. Yeah, you can always do a prequel. Titles of books also change from yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, because for some reason they don't like why? Yeah, that's the thing. It's like,
it was the Harry Potter one that got me because they changed it from Philosopher's Stone to Sorcerer's Stone. I'm like, Americans aren't that dumb, are they? That they don't understand what Philosopher's Stone is. It's quite
the publishers probably must have thought that they were too dumb to realize that it's a stone that turns lead
basically gives you immortality. In Harry Potter's, that's what their version does. I think it's supposed to turn stuff to gold, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I always thought. I didn't know it was immortality.
In Harry,
that right?
Yeah, in Harry Potter, it was it helps make an elixir so that you can live forever, but you've got to constantly use it. So like, I'm pretty sure, Kane, reading Alchemy, I'm pretty sure it was about turning like specifically lead into gold.
Yeah, that's what I always thought it was. Well, you see, I haven't read it, so again, I assumed it was something that it's not. But yeah, it's titles. It's that's one, and then John Christopher's The Death of Grass is the British title. Oh, what's the American title? Is it End of Some? Oh, somebody knows. Gavin will know, or Gareth. I can't remember what the American title is, and it's just very different. And I don't know why you change it. I can understand sometimes why you change it is if there's more recently a book that's been called that just came out, and then you don't want people confused. Okay, that kind of makes sense. No Blade of Grass, yeah.
It was like his Dark Materials, the first one. They've got two different titles for it. So it's the Northern Lights is here in the UK, because obviously it's a British story, and then in Americans they change it to the Golden Compass. I'm like, that makes no sense.
Golden Compass, okay.
That's what they called the first one, yeah. Like, first of all, what she carries is not a compass.
Yeah, no Blade of Grass. But yeah, why Death of Grass? That's exactly what it is. But yeah, I don't get it. Title changes were common for 70s British thrillers. For the books, I guess, yeah.
I mean, I also get it if it's certain words, like the TV show here in the UK, the Spooks show. obviously, again, the word spook means something very different in America, so I understand them changing something like that. But when it makes no difference, like something like that, like the no-bladed grass, it makes no sense. It's like, why would you change that?
Yeah, that's the one I didn't get. Yeah, because spook, to like when somebody says something, they'll think, I guess in North America, I guess the idea is they'll think that it's ghost, but for here it's spy. It's more spy related. But I think, yeah, I think it could be generational too. That's the thing, because I think like certain words just have had so many names for things or meanings. Mad Max too. Yeah, Mad Max too. Yeah. See, I actually like Road Warrior better. that's an occasion that I like the title change of Road Warrior rather than Mad Max too.
I think the worst thing when they do it with books, though, is like when you see the author name and it's got a different title, you think, oh, a new book, and then you're 2 chapters in and you're like, no, it's not. It's the same book. Damn it.
Yeah,
you get so excited.
I was uh talk about films because what was it when I had Prime, and they will have they buy a lot of old British British sort of B movies that were done in the 40s and 30s, 40s and 50s. It's stuff that most of them I'd never seen before. And it's funny because it would go, oh, I don't know that one. And then I realized, oh, I knew that under the American name. Mark's going, yeah, bye.
Hi, Mark.
And yeah, I agree that it's confusing with everything because you just don't know what you're going to get. And I wonder if they've ever done change their authors' names, because there has to be times where you've got, this is a stupid example, but Agatha Christie, and then somebody else in the States, oh, my name's Agatha Christie. Are they gonna publish that? Well, they do it with actors, so they must do it with authors too. They must change the names.
I think the only ones I've seen is maybe Stephen King, when he obviously wrote under a pseudonym for a while, and now they've got his pseudonym name as Stephen King, or Stephen King as, and then his pseudonym. I can't even remember what his pseudonym was now.
Buckland?
It's one back. It was just like the whole point of him using a pseudonym was so that you didn't know it was the two. Just keep the two names separate.
Well, I've heard this story, and I don't know how true I know part of it's true, and the rest of it I'm not 100% sure. J.K. Rowling started writing some mysteries under a pseudonym, and I don't know what the pseudonym was.
Robert Galbraith.
But they weren't selling. So therefore, she had her publicist or agent leak out that it was her. So to get the sales up.
The silly thing is, J.K. Rowling is technically a pseudonym as well, because she obviously doesn't have a middle name. So technically she's only J. Rowling. They added in the K so that it would flow a bit better.
Ah, okay. They do it when an author changes their own. Yeah. John Wyndham, John Harris, John Benyon Harris, probably. Yeah, so many. Michael Crichton has books in the Hard Case Crime series initially under different name. There's loads like that. Yeah. Oh yeah. But like I guess what I'm thinking of is like a British author called Agatha Christie, and then there might very well have been an author before her called Agatha Christie. Like there's cases like this. So when they reprint the American Agatha Christie, I think they're gonna put Agatha Christie on it. And I'm sure I can't think of it, but I'm sure there has to be a precedent not a precedent, but a situation where that's happened. There's Winston Churchill. There's the American author Winston Churchill, who wrote a lot of fiction, and then there's Winston S. Churchill. People do get them confused. And then they'll say, well, Winston S. Churchill didn't write fiction. Well, he did. He wrote at least one fiction book. That just screws everything up. But yeah, it's weird how they changed the names. So anyway, the Fog. They haven't changed the name of the Fog. But why did they? Is the John Carpenter film based on a book, or is it just an original?
I think it's original. I have no idea, because it's obviously the John Carpenter one's about ghosts attacking a town,
Yeah.
whereas James Herbert's film is literally about basically a chemical that's released, and it basically turns everybody batcrap crazy.
So it's actually science fiction rather than horror.
Yeah. It's like a sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
So it's one that you might actually enjoy.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, horror is kind of weird because a book or a film about the First World War can be horror. It's horrific. But yeah, when it's science fiction, David Mitchell is an author and a comedian. Different people. Oh yeah. That's a good example. Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. Winston S. Churchill did write fiction. Yeah, at least one that I know of, maybe more. But that just confuses things when people say that. It just confuses things. Because Mark was saying that there was, I guess, around where he lives, Mark Richardson, Winston Churchill lived there, I guess, or at least had a house nearby there at some point. And then somebody thought, oh, they didn't know that, the Prime Minister of England lived in Vermont, Well,
now you've got to ask him, is that our Churchill or your Churchill?
Yeah. But the interesting thing is, Mark was saying that the person decided to look up Winston Churchill to look at the books and became a fan and now collects Winston Churchill fiction. That's kind of cool. That's a cool story. Yeah. So I
didn't realize the two David Mitchells were different. I thought they were the same.
Well, one's a bad comedian, or so-called. No, maybe I shouldn't say that. But yeah, I actually, I don't know if I really knew that they were different or not, because I knew there was a David Mitchell author and there's a David Mitchell, and I kind of thought probably they were the same, but I thought
they were the same, because there's a few comedians that obviously do writing as well. I just figured he'd followed the trend and went with them. Apparently not.
There are many that are the same name as actors, but that's the thing. If you're starting out and you happen to have a name that's the same as another author or a popular celebrity, or just anybody that is popularly, in people's minds, would you want to use that same name?
Or you would be tempted to for a leg up, but at the same time, you still want to do it on your own.
Yeah. It kind of remembers this one guy who wrote a book, and I forget, I think it was Oprah picked it for her book club, and it sold billions or whatever. And he was really pissed off at that. He didn't want that to happen, because he's saying it's not a book for the popular audience. So he was very, very angry at that.
Well, that's when you end up getting bad reviews as well, because it's like you weren't the target audience for this book.
Yeah, Cloud Atlas. Yeah. You see, I guess I probably thought they were one and the same. I never even thought, you see one, you see the other, and it just glances past me. And I don't like the comedian, other than who he married, but that's a different different topic. Yeah. Okay.
Not all first comedy is very subjective.
Oh, David Bowie had to change his name. Okay, I knew he changed his name, but what was the reason for that then? Okay, let's go on a bit of a tangent here for a minute or two.
Well, no, musicians and actors can't have the same name as somebody that came before them.
Yeah, actors. Yeah, they always.
They have to have a different name. Yeah.
Yeah. But.
Well, for David Bowie suits David Bowie better.
Yeah, But that's not always true. It depends on how old. There are so many actors that were in the silent film era that some people have actually taken that name to be their acting name now. And I
I didn't
know
think they were
several
allowed
that
to.
did that. Well, they're no longer working. Everybody's forgotten who they were.
I know, but if you Google Steve Donahue, a jockey comes up.
Exactly. You know. So he's changed his name to be the jockey.
Yeah. Either that or he's just immortal. He's been
Because of
around.
the monkeys fell. His real name was David Jones. Ah, okay. Okay. Yeah, see, I didn't know. I knew it wasn't his real name, but I didn't know that. Davy Jones. And he's got a locker too.
Yeah.
R.
And a kraken that you can call.
Yes. Okay, let's move on.
All right, which one's next?
Maybe do a physical one this time?
Go physical. Now, this is the only one that you've seen before, because I'm pretty sure it was it Gavin? I think it was Gavin had it. And I've got my H.P. Lovecraft, which is one of the biggest books I have.
What did it? I haven't seen that one. Who put out that one? Like, who's the publisher of that edition?
Oh, this one, I have no idea. Let's see. It says it was published in 2019 by Rockpoint, an imprint of Quarto Group.
Oh, okay.
Don't know what that means. I got this from one of my colleagues. She was getting rid of her copy, and I went, "Oh, I'll have that, please." Because it's got all of. I mean, I've got it digitally as well on my Kindle. This is the one that I actually read at work. I stole it from work so that I could bring it. So I at least had some physical books.
So why?
So the books are even in a different order as well, which is weird.
So other than because he writes horror-ish stuff, what is it about him that you like or writing? Let's forget about the person at the moment.
Writing wise, it's like he kind of like a lot of what he wrote kind of inspired everything that came after it. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was the one that started the cosmic horror type stuff and all the like Cthulhu mythology. So it kind of inspires a lot of the horror that you read nowadays, and you're just like, interesting. I mean, none of it's scary, but I think that's because I'm a little desensitized to horror now. But it's quite interesting, some of the stuff that he's come up with, and you think, this scared people back then? Although I've seen it scare people even now, and you're like, really?
But when was his first? I'm trying to think now. When was his first cosmic horror story written? Now, Gavin will know that probably. The reason why I'm asking this, and Gavin will probably know why I'm asking this as well. But yeah, it's the thing is that he is considered, like the forerunner for especially cosmic horror stuff. But I'm sure there's something else that predates him.
Probably.
We'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, so is there? Have you read all his
No, I'm only about halfway through the book, so I've only read about half of it. But it's like you can always go back and you're like, oh, I don't remember this part because there's so much of it. Because both the digital and the physical, it's literally got every short story, every like novella, if you like, everything that he's written is in them. So it's quite interesting trying to get through them all. My God, there's so many.
Have you read any of his poetry?
I actually don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's got his poetry in it. I think it's just his prose stuff.
Yeah, most collections don't have, or I don't know if I've ever seen.
I think it's all just the short stories.
And I guess for the aficionados, they like the J.T. Joshi, I guess, edited ones that go back to more original manuscript than the publication ones. What's I gonna say? So what's the one story that stands out for you for Lovecraft?
Probably the Cthulhu ones, because it's the most famous stuff that he's written. But the what was it? The annoying thing is because I skimmed through them so fast, it's like I don't pay attention to the titles. What was the name of that one again? There was the Red Rock one, was or Red Hook one. What the hell were you called? The Horror at Red Hook. That was the other one that kind of gets stuck a bit because I'm pretty sure that's the one that had the fish people in it.
I have not read everything by him, and the main reason why is I read a little bit and it never impressed me, I guess you would say, at the time, like 30-40 years ago. But I do want to dip back into him sometime, and I haven't done that yet. I've got the annotated 2 volumes that Leslie Klinger did. But one of those stories, and I don't know if it's in there, and I can't remember the name of it, is that he wrote a story for Houdini, and Houdini is the character in it. It's a mummy story, and that's how I came across it, was because it was a mummy story, but it's supposed to be Houdini that's writing it, but it was actually I'm sure unless I'm thinking of somebody else. No, I'm sure it's a Lovecraft story, and I can't think of the name of the story. Have you come across that one yet, or?
It doesn't jump out, so it could be that it's later in both of the collections.
Yeah, or
So I haven't gotten to it yet.
I wonder if it's in there as well, because, as I say, it was not published under his name. I don't think it was actually published as written by Houdini.
Okay.
At the time, I think. Yeah, Houdini. Yeah.
Is it called Houdini?
Is it? Oh, okay.
No, I'm saying, is it called Houdini? So I can see
Yeah,
if
I'm
it's
not
got
sure.
in here.
I'm not sure.
Let me see.
I
Is
like
there
that
one called Houdini? Don't know why they couldn't just put the stories in alphabetical order. No, there's not one called Houdini.
Yeah. Going back to name changes, Michael Keaton's real name is Michael Douglas. And then Mick Holland is saying, I wonder if there's a piece of paper somewhere that identifies Michael Douglas as Michael Danielovich, using his dad's surname.
Sounds like a mouthful.
Yeah. Yeah, every. Oh, wait, what's this? No, can't remember what it's called. Yeah, he falls into a tomb. I think are they on top of the pyramid or something, and they find an entrance through the top of the pyramid, like the pyramid of Cheops, I think.
I definitely haven't gotten to that one then.
Yeah,
that sounds like that'll be a fun one.
Oh, it is fun. It's not great, but I love mummy stories. I love stories about mummies.
It's probably the same with most of H.P. Lovecraft. It's like it's not phenomenal writing, but I can't seem to stop reading it. I mean, Edgar Allan Poe's probably a better writer, but
here's one that I got to read at some point. Is The Mummy by Jane Webb. It's a big one, and it was written. Well, it's set in the year 2126, and it's
only a century from now.
Yeah.
It'll probably come back to you at like 2:00 in the morning, Gavin.
I can't remember. This was written in like 1820s, I think. But it's not really horror. It's a science fiction story, sort of. But it's a mummy story, and I love mummy stories. Yeah, Gavin says it's annoying you read it last year and the title's gone. Yeah, no, I remember that because, as I say, I love mummy stories. So, and there's not too many people that actually know it or read it, and that's why I wonder if it's in. See, I've got the 2 volumes that are the annotated, but I don't know if it's complete. I don't know if it's every story that he's done. If it is, I'm going to have to, because I know where they are, and I'll be getting to them soon and putting them on a shelf.
When I find it when I'm reading it, I'll let you know what it's called.
Yeah.
Assuming you guys don't figure it out first.
Yeah, and it's I'm gonna have to see, because especially if it is in there, I'm definitely gonna or I hope I'll remember it once I move them, because it will be something that I want to read, especially the annotations, because they should be really good. Didn't he? Yeah, he wrote. Well, he wrote stuff that wasn't even horror, didn't he? He
Yeah.
wrote. He wrote
There's
sort
some
of
like
some
like
boxing.
more mystery type stuff as well.
Yeah, and he did some boxing stuff too. I think, didn't he? Boxing
Mm.
stories, or I'm thinking. I'm
Uh,
probably thinking of a different.
If he has, I haven't gotten to them. I think most of what I've read so far is because
No, I
it's
think
like they're in a weird order as well. The stories, at
I'm
least
probably
the ones in my Kindle, they kind of bounce all over the place.
I'm probably thinking of Robert Howard. I know did boxing stories, but I thought he did something as well. But yeah, I that's the thing. It's like I like stories that are collections. If it's a complete collection, I like them in chronological order of when they were published. I really like it that way. Under the Pyramids, that's it. Yeah, Under the Pyramid, because it is it is Under the Pyramids. That's exactly what it is. But it was. I'm sure it was published as Harry Houdini. I'm sure it was published under his name, and it was. I don't know when it was actually came out that it was Lovecraft that did it. But I think he did quite a bit of stuff like that. I think he wrote stories for other people because, hey, it's just like somebody throws you $100. Hey, yeah, I'll write a story.
Yeah.
I'll have no problem with that.
I mean, the one good thing about the digital version is it does tell you like when it was published, where it was published, because it's got like a little like a mini paragraph like intro right before the actual story. The physical copy doesn't have that though.
Which who did the Kindle copy that you got? Is it maybe it's probably the Joshi ones.
Oh, it could be.
If it's
Let's find out.
Penguin or something, I think.
Let's find out. And of course, my phone doesn't want to work.
Because
Where
there's
has my
those,
HP Lovecraft gone?
I can't remember if it was Centipede Press that actually put out a really nice set of his stuff. Was it Centipede or somebody else? The Centipede ones are too expensive for anybody to buy.
Oh, this one claims it's Red Skull Publishing.
Red Skull. Okay, never heard of that. Yeah,
Published in 2014.
Yeah, if it doesn't have the, it's not the sort of not re-edited, but restored. I guess people call it restored versions, which they're just different. They're different versions.
Because that's the one that's on my Kindle. It says it's the with accompanying facts. It's just the H.P. Lovecraft complete collection. That's the one that's on my Kindle.
It's somebody that's doing it. They've just taken probably the text from Gutenberg and just annotated it. So
literally
Kindle will allow them to do it.
Yeah, literally just told them like where you can find it originally.
Yeah. So that's annotated. So okay, well, what number are we up to now?
I think that was 4.
4. Okay, so halfway.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4. So back to digital, and then ta-da, Harry Dresden, which is an odd choice because this one's specifically book number 6. But so far, it's one of my favorites because it introduces Mouse. And it's the best opening chapter ever of a Dresden book so far. Because you've got this tiny little puppy trying to take on a 8-foot monkey demon. And he literally tries to growl it and take it down. And you're like, he's so cute. I want one. I mean, you'll find out later on that he's not a normal dog anyway. But and it makes kind of sense because he takes on like vampires and everything. But it's just that one opening scene, just watching this tiny little puppy try to take on a demon. Whilst Harry's trying to scoop him up and try and keep him alive along with all of his little siblings. And then throughout the next few books, you just watch him get bigger and bigger and bigger. Because he's supposed to be something called a foo dog. From a foo dog. So he's basically Chinese, I think it's Chinese or Tibetan mythology. So he's basically magic. And in the later books, he's basically just a tank, and he's about the size of a Tibetan Mastiff, if not maybe bigger than that. And he just thinks he's a lapdog. But he's surprisingly smart. He's like, you talk to him and he understands what you're saying. He just can't talk back.
Well, I've read one of the books because you bought me the first box set, and I read the first one. I liked it. And the strange thing was that when I read it, so much of it seemed familiar.
Mm.
And I don't know if, well, no, I don't think we were talking at that time sort of on Vox or anything, but I think I was talking to Brandy at the book collecting say, because she loves these as well. And I said, it's everything's so familiar. Like the guy, the skull, or I can't remember his name.
Bob.
Bob, yeah, Bob.
I love Bob.
And a lot of the things and the events that were happening in the first story was so familiar, and I couldn't figure it out until about a year after that, when I had Prime again, and it was a TV series called Dresden Files.
Mm.
And I think they just did one season of it. And I watched it and I go, I saw this before. And I completely forgot about it.
Yeah.
That's how everything seemed familiar. Not exact, but so familiar. Because I first thought, oh, geez, he's pulling. He must. The only conclusion I made up to that point was that he had pulled stuff from all sorts of other, stories and things like this. So the ideas and seems familiar, but that wasn't the case. It was this. And I do now know where, and if I don't lose it again, I know where the box set is. So, and I do want to read another novel out of that. But what he's still writing them, isn't he?
Yeah, there's another one coming out this year. I'm not fully caught up. I think I'm up to Ghost Story, which I think is book 13.
Oh, okay. I thought he was further along than that. Okay,
oh yeah, he's awaited release book 19, I think it is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I was starting binging them. It was just I remember talking to Kane Chaz at Book of Chaz, and I was like, because I don't mind spoilers, and I was like, you did not warn me about the last 2 books I just read, Chaz. And a lot of things happened.
Gavin saying after decades of fantasy horror, it's hard to be original, but yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's the thing. If you take a different little twist to it, or you combine something else to it, you can make it fresh again, I think.
Well, I like what Jim Butcher does with a lot of mythology and stuff like that. I mean, his fae, again, it's like as much as they may look pretty, you would not trust them. Although some of the fae in there is kind of like you get in the first book, Toot Toot, the little one that loves pizza. He pops up in a few more books and he's just brilliant. I love him. Although it did, Jim Butcher did write one of my favourite female characters of all time, and that's Charity. You haven't met her yet. I think she pops up in book 3, I think it is. And she's not even, well, I mean, she can fight, but it's not the fact that she's a fighter that makes her such a strong one. It's how strongly she will defend her husband and her children. And you're just like, yes, mothers can be badass.
So is the husband this tall, or is
he? Oh no, he's a tank as well, but he has got a bit more important of a job though. I haven't got to them yet, Gareth. I've heard they're basically like Dresden, but in London.
Yeah, I've got the first. I've got about three of them, and I do want to. I want to try those. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard they're really good.
Yeah, it's. I like the idea of them. Yeah, and the isn't the Aronovich, I think, is the author's name.
I think his name, yeah, something like that.
Didn't he write for Doctor Who as well?
Could explain the humor then.
Yeah, I've read 2 Dresden books and 4 Rivers of London ones. Yeah, what is he? I think there's 6 Rivers of London.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I know there's quite a few. I think the first time I saw them, there was only about 3 of them, and then a few came out.
Yeah, so he did do some Doctor Who stuff. Yeah. I don't know where those are because I've picked up some hardcovers at thrift charity shops for like 50p or something like that. And I figured, well, if I want to read it, that's the cheapest way to do it rather than paperback ones. First London one has a fantastic last act. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put those aside when I find them and figure out which ones I do have. But as I say, I know where the Dresden books are now because I'd lost them for so long after I unpacked the boxes, and I'm
The
still
sad thing is,
rereading.
book 2 is the one that most people don't like. I really like that one, but it's because I have a weakness for werewolves. That's my thing. You know how you like mummies? Werewolves are my thing. And they've got like 3 different types of werewolves all in the same story, and you're like, oh, this is fun.
3 different types. Okay,
They've
I
got
just didn't
multiple
know.
different types of everything. So they've got like 3 types of vampires. There's like at least 3, if not 4 different types of werewolves.
Does it? Do they do mummies? Do mummies show up or?
They have undead. At one point, it's like one of the best scenes ever is literally Dresden riding a undead Tyrannosaurus Rex into battle. And you're just like, I really wish they could make this into a film or a TV show. This could be brilliant. I think it would only work in anime, though.
Well, as I say, they did do a series, at least the first series. It's on Prime, or it was on Prime a
Yeah,
couple
I
of years
always
ago.
felt bad because I quite enjoyed the show, and I didn't understand why fans were so angry. And then I read the books, and I was like, "Oh, this is why they're mad." I mean, some of the changes they had to make, because I remember them going on. A lot of fans were pissed off because they didn't have his Blue Beetle in his vehicle,
Yeah.
but it's because what's his name? The guy that's obviously playing Harry Dresden's too tall, and they couldn't work in a Beetle. Can actually film inside it, so they had to have the Jeep so that they could film in it inside it. But it's like, I mean, Harry himself is supposed to be like 6.5 feet tall. I'm like, I'm impressed he can even fit in a Beetle.
That's that's uh that's funny because it's like the opposite of like this has nothing to do with horror or anything like that. It's the Reacher series that they had. What's his name playing him?
I know he's like,
He's this tall.
what is he's described as like 6'4" or something like that. But of course, they've got Tom Cruise who's like 5'4".
Yeah. And then you got Richard. The new guy. He's like
Oh, the
this.
new guy's great at it. I
Yeah.
actually really like that show. I still need to watch season 3 actually.
Yeah. I this the bad thing is that I got Prime free for a month, and it ended last week. So it's going to be a while before I can watch the last couple episodes. Uh, let's see here. The first London book. As a Mummy fan, have you? Yeah, Lot 249. Yeah, that's a good one with by Arthur Conan Doyle. There's a lot of stuff. Like little short stories that I like, and I remember buying, uh, picking up these like late 18th, or no, sorry, late 19th and early 20th century novels. That there were quite a few that were written about mummies. Some of them were horror, and some of them are not. Like this is not really horror. This is science fiction, basically, because they reanimate Cheops in the year 2126. 100 years from next year. Reacher said nothing.
I love those scenes where he just stares at a guy and the
Oh
guy
yeah.
cracks.
Uh,
But I also like the fact that the show didn't tone down how smart he is as well as how strong and powerful he is. Because they'd obviously been doing that a lot lately, in like making all the guys kind of incompetent. Like Reacher wasn't incompetent.
well, the other thing too that I like was that when he was what was it, the second? I guess it was the second season where he's with the group, the other 2 women and stuff like this. They can take care of themselves, but they're not superhuman. They're not, they can take care of themselves with one person or something like this, but they're not Reacher. They
Yeah.
they they have them realistic women fighting rather than a 5 foot nothing skinny woman walks into a bar with 300 bikers, and she walks out and they're
Mhm.
plastered against the wall. And it's like, yeah, it's not
As
going
if
to
we,
happen.
as if we could all be Black Widow.
Nah, it's not gonna happen. I'm sorry.
The greatest lie that feminism ever told us. That women could handle themselves. Like, no, we can't.
Well, that's the thing is some can. It's like, like I remember one time, uh, when I was given a whole bunch of books in my old place in Bedford, and this woman comes in, and uh, I I was quite ill at the time, and I looked awful, I guess. And she says, "Well, where do they need to go? These big boxes of books?" I said, "Upstairs." So she just takes them and just carries them up, drops them upstairs, and I'm going, I don't want to meet her in a back alley somewhere.
Well,
Like
even in the post office, we had things like that. I remember we had one guy come in, sorry, it was two guys came in with a parcel between the two of them and they were struggling. They're like, oh, it's really, really heavy. And then I literally lifted it with one hand. I went, it's only 4.5 kilos, mate. It's fine.
Yeah.
But they're acting like it was so heavy. I'm like, no, it was bulky and awkward, yes, but it wasn't heavy.
Yeah, no, but yeah, it's just they've done strange things with movies. And that's why I like about this one too is like they're not apologetic about him rubbing somebody out that is a bad guy. It's just that they deserved it. It's like they make sure that it's unambiguous. It's going back to the old style where it's clear that this is a bad guy. It's not ambiguous, like, oh well, maybe he's not, so maybe we should give them the benefit of the doubt, give them a trial, set them up in a luxury jail cell for the rest of their lives. Like, that's the kind of thing that they do a lot now with things. It's like they're not apologetic. It's just, yeah, get rid of them. That's why I'm waiting to see. Well, I know how the new season is going to end, but it's like I want to see how it does, like how Reacher does this.
Yeah, because I just noticed that one of the guys he's up against is even bigger than he is, and you're like,
Yeah,
how did you find someone bigger?
Yeah, like he looks
he's a good several inches bigger too.
Oh yeah, like he's like if Tom Cruise, stood beside the actor for Reacher, he's that towards this
It's like,
other guy.
bloody hell.
Yeah, then he's got to have a comeuppance with him too. There's got to be a between them. But you see, the other guy's dumb, and Reacher has brains, and he'll use his brains to defeat him. I'm sure. But anyway, enough about Reacher. I love how Reacher villains are just yeah.
Sometimes that's what you want, though.
Yeah, well, it's like I said before about a series. I think you like it too. A Person of Interest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like that's clear too. It's like it's good guys against bad guys, and the good guys are generally winning. The good guys are generally winning. And sometimes you just want that.
Oh no, I love when it spits out the code and they're sitting there going, is this a good guy? And they think it is, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, this was the perp. Shit.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on before we lose too many people here. Talking about Reacher.
All right, so another funny one for you.
The zombie. Yeah, I've heard of this one. Yeah.
It's a companion to his World War Z. But I've never laughed so hard when reading a survival guide. Because Max Brooks tells you basically how to dismantle your staircase so the zombies can't get to you. What sort of clothing to wear. I mean, there's like some stuff are practical as well, like how you could like use like a little bicycle to power up like small generators and stuff like that. But he teaches you like how to soundproof your house so the zombies can't hear you, so you can turn on your radio.
I have lots of books.
Oh god, yeah. There's an entire section about how to hunt the zombies if you wanted to hunt them, basically how to dredge lakes. You're just like, oh, it's so ridiculous. But if zombies ever come, we're set.
Yeah, well, so this is going to help you on a desert island. How?
Yeah. Because it'll cheer me up. I mean, it's a thought again. Because it does have like I said, there are a few practical things that probably would work if you were in an apocalyptic type setting. It's unlikely we'll get zombies though. Or like Ken and Arlock would probably get the zombies from like 28 Days Later rather than, the nice slow rambly ones. Although technically 28 Days Later isn't zombies.
I like that film though. There was a sequel to it too.
Yeah,
I think
28 Weeks Later, and then there's the newest one, 28 Years Later, that's coming out, and
Oh.
that one looks. They showed a trailer for it. I think it comes out this year. It looks really good.
Oh, I didn't know that, because I know I saw 28 Weeks Later. I know I saw that, but I don't remember anything about it. I did see it though. So
That's basically when the Americans come back. They're obviously helping to start clearing out the zombies and find what few survivors there are left in order to re-establishing the UK. And then Robert Carlyle's character kind of buggers that up.
That's vaguely familiar now, yeah. But I didn't know they were making another one. Yeah. That's what I thought it was. Yeah, Danny Boyle. He's he's a very, very good director. And it's like it's kind of weird, because when I first found out who he was, and I think it was probably from what's the one with Ewan McGregor, and in either Glasgow or Edinburgh, they have the apartment, and the guy Shallow Grave.
Okay.
Shallow Grave. And when I found out who Danny Boyle was, I started looking up to see other things. And he did a couple Inspector Morse episodes, and they turned out to be my favorite Inspector Morse episodes. And then I go, oh, what else did he? Oh, he did that. Oh, I really enjoyed that as well, And I didn't know, I made the connections after the fact. So yeah, he was a good. Yeah, Shallow Grave is really, really good. Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
No, it's pretty good, because it's like it's not Ewan McGregor. It's the it's the Doctor Who, the character. Yeah, Christopher Eccleston. He gets, because they got to bury the guy, and they they're worried about the teeth. So I think it's Ewan McGregor cuts off the hands for the fingerprints, and then Christopher Eccleston's character takes the hammer and just knocks the guy's teeth out. But you don't see it. But all you see is him, in a hole, and they're going up and down in the sound, and that was good. That was good. But
obviously enjoyed working together, because obviously Christopher Eccleston's in 28 Days Later as well.
Is he?
He played the head soldier, the captain of the soldiers.
Okay. Yeah. It's a while since I've seen that. Yeah, I don't remember the second one at all, but I thought I remembered the first one, and I remember liking it. So yeah, so I'm gonna have to, when the new one comes out, when I get to see that, I'm gonna have to rewatch all three, I think, of that. But yeah. So is this zombie book? Is he sort of referring to? Is it just something that is a standalone, or does he refer to other zombie movies or books or anything like that?
No, it's completely on its own. It's as if zombie came, like it's as if World War Z actually happened.
Oh, okay.
So he goes into like details about the virus, because it was like one of the reviews was brilliant, because they turned around and says, "Does Max Brooks know something we don't?" Because it genuinely seems like he has like scientific data. It's all obviously made up, but you're just like, is it though? But it's even with World War Z, you're just like, there's parts that are just like so weird. You're just like, did this actually happen? Could this have happened? We didn't know about it.
There was a BBC. Was it I'm sure it was BBC. There was a series about zombies where it's about a family. Well, the brother becomes a zombie, and they're rehabilitating them, and they're bringing them back into society. I'm sure there's a series like that. But then they don't want to take the drug or something like that stops them from eating flesh. So it's kind of a neat thing of they want their own rights, zombie rights, I guess.
The only British zombie film series I can remember was Dead Set, and it was purely because it was set around like the Big Brother house. So it's like outside of the Big Brother house, obviously the zombie apocalypse is taking place, and inside the house they have no idea what's going on. So they're just carrying on like normal until obviously the zombies get in, like, oh shit.
I don't know that one. Yeah, but yeah, I'm sure I can't remember the name of it. And I think it only lasted one season, but I thought it was pretty good. Because yeah, it doesn't seem like zombies are not particularly Brit, or I might be wrong, but I always don't think of zombies as particularly British.
Mm-mm.
You know, it's more of an American sort of thing. I don't know where they started. Like it definitely wasn't George Romero. Night of the Living Dead. I'm sure it's
I
not.
just made them popular.
Yeah. Well, I love what's the other one? The Return of the Living Dead. I thought was just absolutely hilarious. But that's not one of his, though. I don't think.
Oh, I think you
So,
only did the first two. What was it? Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and no, Night of the
City of the
Dead.
Dead.
It was Night of the Dead. Well, I know there was like the carried on from what he had done, and they did one like years later. And I think what was that one called? Seriously.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. See, I Am Legend is a great uh is a great book because I guess you could see them as zombies or as vampires. And it's been done both, I guess. Dead Set was pre Black Mirror, Charlie Brooker. Okay, I don't know either of those.
I've still got to get to Black Mirror. Some of those episodes seemed really good.
Yeah, he's on record saying Matheson was his influence. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, but so I assume that this Max Brooks probably has similar, influences from all these. I would think.
Oh, probably because it's like the director Mel Brooks. It's his
Yeah.
kid.
Oh, is
So
it? I was going to
yeah,
say, is
he's
it?
Mel Brooks' son. Yeah,
Oh,
which
okay.
explains why obviously it's like a lot of it is kind of fun
Yeah.
as well because it's got a similar it's like especially Zombie Survival Guide has a lot of like Mel Brooks kind of humor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they are vampires, but I could see somebody seeing them as zombies, because the way Matheson actually does the book, and I could see somebody taking that from it. Black Mirror has some brilliant episodes. Yeah, I've never seen. I've never seen Black Mirror.
I'm pretty sure most of it's sci-fi as well, or at least sci-fi elements.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know anything about it. To be, I know the name, but I've never actually seen it. So, and there's still, I try to watch a lot of stuff that's science fiction, but only when I can get on if it's on Prime or somewhere like that I can watch it free because I just no longer, unless it's something I watch and then I want to buy it, I just no longer buy this stuff sort of willy nilly
I'm pretty sure
because
it's all on Netflix now.
yeah, and I don't have Netflix anymore. I had it. I was using somebody else's login. Then they stopped me from doing that. Puckers.
I know. That's one thing I annoyed me about Netflix. The whole point of Netflix was you're supposed to share it, basically to bring people together. And then all of a sudden they decided, no, you can't share it anymore. I'm like, I'm paying for it. I'll do what I want with it.
So that was 6, I think.
Yep, that leaves 2 left to go.
Okay, one. Oh no, let's leave the last physical book to last. The last
Okay.
physical book for last. Okay.
That leaves non-fiction, my only not proper non-fiction anyway. And this is called What If, and this is specifically book 2, because I haven't read this one yet. And it's basically really absurd questions, scientific ones, and he answers them. Like in the first book, it was how fast would you have to stir your cup of tea for it to start reheating? And he does the literal maths on it. I think he's an engineer of some kind, and he does the maths on all of it. Like, what would happen if you took all of the water from Earth and plunked it onto Mars, and then there's this one tiny little bit of landmass left on Mars because it's so small, and how you would drain out the water. It's just like, it's the most ridiculous questions ever, but they make you laugh. And then he does every now and then like smaller sections, and it's literally just like one word answers. And some of the questions he gets asked, he goes, "Do I need to phone the police?" Because they'll ask him things like how to like deal with bodies, how to kill people, and things like that. He's like, "Oh dear." I think he must have put it on social media or something like that for some random questions. I think there's some of the questions you get asked, and you just think, I shudder to think how long it must have taken him to work out the maths on some of these questions. But they're always good for a laugh, because you'll sit there and you're sitting there laughing, and people look at you like you're crazy. I'm like, yes, I am.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
I was just waiting to say, because I think the first one I was reading it on the bus, and I actually burst out laughing with some of the questions. I can't even remember which ones it was. I think it's been about 2 years since I read it. But some of those questions were just, it was the questions alone were so ridiculous, not to mention how sarcastic he can get with some of the answers. And I just burst out laughing, and this little old lady just sort of looked at me, and I was like, oops. But it's worth it.
Talking about how to I guess bury a body and stuff like that. I remember, I think it was Mark Richardson and I were talking about this sort of joke, saying that an archaeologist would be good at it, because anytime somebody digs a hole in the ground, even if it's 1,000 years ago, you generally can tell that that there's been a hole there at some point, because when the soil goes back in, you're mixing up the layers. So there's different texture, there's different color. You strip away the topsoil, and then you can see this sort of hole or whatever it is. So the trick is that when you dig a hole, you separate the layers, and then when you put it back, you make sure the layers go back evenly. So then you don't see the hole when it's taken off. But I saw even one was better than that on a video, saying that if you do this in your backyard, make sure you plant, what is it? Restricted flower, not restricted, rare.
Rare and endangered.
Yeah, so they can't be. I laugh. Oh, that's even better. That's even better.
The one I'd heard was funnier, was you just sort of like, you bury bodies underneath caskets.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like where the casket's going to go in, like if you go and sneak in, like before the casket's put in, you sort of like put the soil over, and then the casket over, and nobody ever knows.
That actually been done. That actually has been done. That's been done. This couple, Jim saying here, Black Mirror is an anthology series, but with connecting science fiction tech. Takes place just a step away from our current time. Oh, okay. That sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, because I think one of the episodes is about like social media. So you know how like obviously you get like filters, but you wear it, kind of like a PVC type mask thing, and you're like, that sounds kind of cool and creepy all at the same time.
Yeah. Because Charlie Brooker, isn't he sort of a comedian or something? Or are there two Charlie Brookers? See, is this a case that there's two Charlie Brookers? Because Charlie Brooker, I thought, was like a political commentator or something like that, or a social commentator. Is there two Charlie Brookers now?
I'm not sure. Let's see.
Some great insight on things going on in the world today, or what will happen. Oh, it is. Oh, it's the same Charlie Brooker. Okay, same guy who did the screen wipes. Oh, I have no idea what screen wipe is. But yeah, I know I've seen him on talk shows, I think, or more. I think on the radio I've heard him, because I can actually hear his voice in my head. So I didn't know. So was he actually an actor on here, or a writer on the Black Mirror? So that's something that I don't know either. So, and is that the series? Somebody was telling me that Black Mirror, or no, there was a series that was supposed to be set in New York and around the world, but anybody who knew Toronto realized it was Toronto, that they filmed it in Toronto, and everything was clear that you'd see the street names and people knew, or places, and everybody knew that it was Toronto, that was familiar with Toronto, but everybody else thought it was New York, Paris, or other places.
I think there's a few shows like that because Toronto was cheaper filming.
Yeah. But then Jordan Peele was a comedian before doing horror film. I'll take your word for it. I have no idea who Jordan Peele is.
He's the guy that did Get Out, one of the most popular horror films, because it was like that was one that caught everybody off guard.
I don't know that one either. It's like somebody said to me or something, super popular comedian or something like that in the early 90s. I said, well, I don't know who he is, so he can't have been that popular. Oh, he's a writer and showrunner. Okay. That's every show saying it's anything, Rose. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of these things I just don't know, because I say I have not had TV probably properly since sometime in the late 1990s. So anything that I've ever seen is either, or heard about, is somebody's telling me, or I stumble on it on Prime or something like that. So there's going to be stuff that I just don't know because it hasn't come my way. Typo, yeah. Not sure what you're meaning. That's every show. So I'm not sure what you mean there, Jim. I'm confused, which isn't easy. Isn't hard to do these days for me, to get me confused. But yeah, like, when people say that, it's like, oh, everybody knows this, and I go, well, I don't. So not everybody. I'm somebody, ain't I? Alex is here. Hello. Oh. Spelled Jenny's name wrong.
It's not the strangest spelling I've seen. I've had every spelling of Jenny.
What else? How else can you spell it?
I.E.
Oh yeah, I.E. Yeah. But
I've
that's
also had my
Jeannie.
name spelled. No, I've even had my name spelt with a G before.
Jeannie. Okay, so what's the last Jennifer? See,
People only call me that when I'm in trouble. Battle Royale.
Is that a sequel to James Bond?
No, this is the first. It's a bit like Lord of the Rings. I got introduced to this from the movie. It's a Japanese movie set in, I can't remember when it's set specifically, but it's basically the kids have gotten so out of control that they do like a lottery, and one classroom from one school is sent to this island, and only one child is allowed off of it, and they've got to kill each other. It's what introduced me to basically like murder games, and I loved it. It was so violent.
Okay.
And I haven't read the book yet, so I'm hoping that the book's going to be just as good, because usually the books are just as good, if not better, despite what Steve says.
Yeah, I don't know what to ask about that because I never heard of it before. So this may not have been a good experiment. Maybe it's better for me to actually look something up about these books or authors. So I know what.
I did tell you my options were going to be weird compared to everybody else's.
Well, that's but I thought I'd try something a little different without knowing, going in completely cold, which may not be the best way to do it. Jim say Toronto, yeah, it's standard for many cities. They film a lot here. It was a bad TV series, but it was Canadian, and it was known that it was set in Toronto, and it was about paramedics. And there's one paramedic that sort of has what do they call it? He can just see into the future a little bit, or he knows something is going to happen. I think it was called The Listener or something like this, and it was kind of funny because it was made, I think, not long after I was last in Toronto. So they'd be driving on and go, oh, I know that place. I know that. You know, today I'd be completely lost, I'm sure.
Just laughing, going, I didn't know New York had one of those too.
Yeah. No, but it was set in Toronto, so it was clear that it was Toronto. But yeah, Toronto is a stand-in for so many places. And when I do see that in things, and I'm going, wait a minute, that's not New York. Yeah, that's Toronto. Great film. I haven't read it though. Which film is that we're talking about?
Battle Royale. It's
Battle
Japanese,
Royale.
so the entire thing's Japanese. It was one of the first things that I'd ever seen where it was literal kids killing kids, because I knew for a long time that obviously in the Western world they weren't allowed to kill kids on screen, and this was nothing but kids basically just butchering each other. The Japanese got away with so much more than we did.
Well, I don't think they would do that now. Like, I don't think it'd be.
Oh, there's some of their stuff's still pretty violent.
No, I mean,
a lot of the Asian stuff.
now, like, British films or American films, they probably wouldn't put it in British or American films.
Certainly not that violently.
No. Alex asks, have you read Lord of the Flies?
Yes, I have. One of the few classics I have read.
Classic. Oh.
Well, to me, it's a classic.
Yeah. No, it's just, I've read that, didn't like it. I've read now 2 other books by him, and I didn't like them. And there's one more, and I can't remember the name of it, that I want to try. And if I don't like that, I'm never going to go back to him ever again. Never, ever again.
I love the fact that they actually created an experiment similar to Lord of the Flies, where they had 2 houses set up, one with a group of boys and one with a group of girls, just to see what would happen. Obviously they had adults around in case of emergencies, but the kids had to take care of themselves the entire time. The boys descended into anarchy so fast. The girls, nope. They set up strict routines and everything. And the boys were just utter chaos. I'm like, I won't lie, it looked like so much fun.
Yeah, but you look at no, I just was I was thinking it was going to be the opposite, because the reason why I was thinking that is that everywhere that I've worked, every place that I've heard of, people who clean toilets always have found that the women's toilets are the most grossest toilets than men's are, and it just doesn't make sense. But
to a certain degree it does. We have to use them more. Can't remember, girls can't pee standing up.
No, I better not. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. But
this is 2025.
The murder game idea was created by Robert Sheckley with 10. Oh, okay, yeah, because I remember that one.
It's quite popular nowadays, because that's obviously where things like Squid Game and Alice in Borderland, I think, got their ideas from.
Lord of the Flies, yeah. The first Incredible Hulk film actually filmed in my own apartment, Dundas, Ontario. Oh, jeez. No, I haven't read Pincher Martin. I don't know that title, I don't think. I can't remember. I've read Lord of the Flies. I read, what's the one that's set in the it's about Neanderthals, and one other. I can't think of what the other one is, and I can't remember what the fourth one is that I well, it's the only other one that I wanted to try, but I have read the Neanderthal. Yeah, The Inheritors. That's it. Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
Lord of the Flies is the only one I've watched. Read, even.
Yeah, you don't need to.
I wasn't overly impressed with Lord of the Flies. There was a couple of scenes that were pretty intense, but
it's weird. it's like a lot of people get turned off reading because of what they're taught at school.
Mhm.
And I can only think of two books that I read in school that I was introduced to and that I enjoy, that I liked. The rest of them I did not like at all. Did not
See,
like
that's
them
weird
at all.
because we didn't have any compulsory reading that I can remember off the top of my head. All of our stuff was mostly essays. It's like we didn't even have to study Shakespeare at my
Oh,
school. Well, I mean, we had a couple of like Robbie Burns. Obviously, we're Scottish, but we didn't have any. The weird thing is, though, we had to write a 4-page essay about Shakespeare, but we didn't have to study him himself, like his work, just his life.
okay, that's different.
Mm.
Is that normal in Scottish schools? Then I guess.
I have no idea. I
Yeah.
remember talking to my cousin, who's a fair few, again, quite a bit younger than me, and she had compulsory reading at our school. So she was reading stuff that I had never read, kind of like of Mice and Men and stuff like that. I'm like, at school? And she's like, yeah, we have to read it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing because I don't like Of Mice and Men that much, but I love uh, Grapes of Wrath. I love that, and we read Shakespeare. We did Hamlet and Macbeth, but I did Macbeth like 4 times or something like that because I in 4 different years or something silly like that, which I really liked. And those are the only two. Did Tale of Two Cities, which I don't mind it, but it's not my favorite Dickens. Um, Wuthering Heights did not like. Um, what's the F. Scott Fitzgerald?
Gatsby, great
That's
Gatsby.
yeah, no, didn't like that. And there's a whole bunch of others that we'd read and I didn't like it. And like yeah, like Mick Collins says, Lord of the Flies was a set book when I was at school. We were all failing, so the teacher had us watch the film, and we did okay in the exam. Yeah, I didn't like it at all. And what's the other one? Catcher in the Rye. Didn't like that. And there was an S.E. Hinty. I think is it Hinty or Hinton? Um, I can't remember. It was a bad book too. Or
Yeah,
I think it was bad.
I was gonna put together an entire collection on my Kindle of what they referred to as like compulsory reading at school, kind of like just to kind of read them out. I think some of them I have read now, but I still need to get a few more.
I had to read it for GCSE, so I'm assuming that's the Lord of the Flies, Treasure Island. Oh, see,
I
if
quite
we
enjoyed that
would have,
one.
yeah, like that is good. We didn't read that. That wasn't a compulsory one. I think there was always a variety of ones that were sort of for that level, and I think it depended on the teacher. And most of the teachers in English I had weren't very good. English teachers, or at least I didn't think so, because like even for Grapes of Wrath, like he goes on. The teacher went on and on about who he said the central character was, and then at the end says, write an essay on who you think is the central character. Stupid me, I choose somebody else. So of course I didn't do well in it. But then I did have one really good English teacher who, uh, like, I think it was, yeah, for Christmas, I think Christmas break, he took me into, because I think it was when I went back to school. So I was doing grade 9, I think, English, and I didn't care for the books that we were reading. So he took me into the closet. Yeah, the teacher took me into the closet. No, he took me into the closet of books, and he just pulled stuff out that was grade 13, and it was wow. What else, what was in there? Well, there was Oscar Wilde's Picture of Dorian Gray and a bunch of others. He gave me a whole stack,
I
and
liked that more than I thought I would.
yeah, I enjoyed all of them, there. But the thing is, these were ones that you could read for grade 13, so it depended on the teacher that would choose whichever books. And the teachers that I had just did not choose very good books. So, and I would have liked Treasure Island if that was chosen, because I'd read it probably after high school and enjoyed it. So yeah.
Treasure Island was another one I liked way more than I thought I was going to like. You always assume that the films obviously my only experience with the Treasure Island story was through the Muppets Treasure Island.
Mm.
And like, oh no, the book is just as funny.
Well, you might like Robinson Crusoe then as well.
I think that's one's on my list somewhere as well.
Canterville Ghost by, because that is Oscar. Is that Oscar? Is that no? Yeah, that is Oscar Wilde.
I can't remember who wrote it, but yeah, I thought that was funny as well.
Yeah, I didn't. That wasn't part of. At least I didn't think it was. Like it never came up in any of the reading things for that. But the thing that I found really funny was because I don't know if it was I think they were all for grade 13 that the teacher gave me, but I remember several years ago that the picture of Dorian Gray was being read by a lot of booktubers, and they found it very difficult to read. And I was surprised, and so I asked questions about the language. This language was so antiquated, and I go, really?
Yeah, I know.
And then I talked to somebody else that read it when they were like 13 or 14 years old, and it was like they didn't have problems reading it. So yeah, it's really weird how people read different things. But then I've heard some people say that they've tried to read something from the 80s and found it difficult to read because of the old language. And I'm going, really? Are you 4 years old?
Like, I'm not that old.
Yeah. Yeah, it's odd. Or when Mark and I were doing well, he did first of all looking at 1-star reviews on Goodreads, and I forget what it was. There was something that was written in the late 1800s, I think it was, and they called it Old English. And it's like,
no.
Yeah. No.
Old English is older than that. Because
Well,
isn't that what Chaucer is?
No, that's Middle English. Chaucer is Middle English. Old English is Beowulf. Beowulf in that. Yeah. That's Chaucer. Chaucer you can read, with a little bit of, you can read it.
That's one that you can understand people saying, yeah, that one's a little hard because you kind of got to get to the rhythm of it.
Yeah, but it's not old. It's like something else I walk. Like it's just how amazing how people, the popular view of certain things are, because they think anything that is Old English, or it was like they had a bronze statue of something, and they were saying, well, that could be Etruscan, but you need to do a carbon dating on it, and I'm going, say what? This is bronze, and it's like, and they're saying carbon dating. It has to be something that was living to do carbon dating. You can't do carbon dating on metal. It's just not possible. And but everybody seems to think that, not everybody, but it's a popular belief, and it's a popular belief that anything that's before 1900 is Old English, I guess. Odd.
I know proper Old English needs an actual translator.
Yes. Good Night, Mr. Tom was another. Well, that's a relatively new book, isn't it? Like compared to some of these others.
Is that the one about the kids in World War II when you get sent to the grumpy? Yeah, I've seen the film. Didn't realize it was a book.
Yeah, I've seen the film with John Thaw. It was good.
My mum used to like that. I thought this is going to be boring. I have to admit, I was glued to it. I was like, this is kind of engrossing. Yeah, a little heartbreaking, but
yeah, it was good. But it's not that old. But I guess they do assign newer stuff, I guess, to students, and that would be a good one to do. Like it's more than, I suppose, Would they even now? Would they even do? Oh, what's the kids one again? They were talking about on the island, Lord of the Flies. Would they even? Would they even assign that anymore in school? Lord of the Flies, because oh, it's it's children killing, fighting each other and stuff.
I mean, you'd hope so, but I mean, you'd like to think in reality, no group of kids would fall apart that fast either. I mean, you're
Bart
talking about,
Simpson did.
well, it's in the film though, it's like, well, in the book, it's like they're all from military school. It's like you'd think they'd be able to work together a bit more efficiently. Unless boys
Okay.
really are that feral.
Alex says 1982, but then Gavin says he did Goodnight, Mr. Tom at school in the early 80s. So if it was published in 1982, that's really modern. if Gareth doing it, yeah. Alex said it's 1982. So
The book is older than I am.
well, this one's older than I am, which is maybe saying a lot. I don't know. Okay, so we're done 8 books.
Wonderfully random choices too.
No, I think there was a theme throughout that. It's horror and fantasy.
I like things that are much more fun.
Ooh.
I try not to read things that are going to make me think too hard, especially if I'm going to be like mindlessly reading on a desert island. If I'm reading anything more complicated, I like the audiobooks for them whilst I'm reading.
Music. And now this one I tried to look up.
Yeah.
And I clearly got something completely wrong. And I was going, really? Because I came up with rap music.
Yeah.
But it's not rap music.
That's why I think I pointed out the fact it's kind of a cheat, because I just discovered you cannot buy this as an actual album. Well, at least not on a CD or a DVD thing. So it's called Lonely Days. So that's basically what you see on the YouTube as well, because it's a YouTube playlist. That's where I first heard it. And then just randomly typed it into iTunes, and I was like, oh, they've got the whole thing. And it's great because I use it basically to fall asleep as well as to read, because I get easily distracted. I cannot read in complete silence. So I put that on because there's no lyrics to it. It's just music and rain sounds. It's quite like soft and nice little melodies. It's nothing too bouncy or boppy or anything like that. And then thanks to Ven at Ven's Corner, I've got a lot more of lo-fi music now. So
is it just continuous, or is there tracks?
There is tracks, but it does play one right into the other, There's no actual breaks. You know how like in a normal album you get maybe like 2 seconds, if that, getting like break. But there's nothing like that on these ones.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like on the YouTube one, if I could figure out how to get YouTube to play one video over and over and over again, I could just put it on my TV and read with that. If not, I literally have to play it on my phone.
Put it in a playlist.
Yeah, I'd have to put it in a playlist by itself.
yeah, and it just say repeat. So that would work. And there's got to be a different way to do it, but that's an easy cheat to do it. That's for sure.
I think YouTube Premium lets you play an individual video just over and over.
So this is another one that I can't say anything about because I don't know it. It's sort of like it's like Gareth's and Gavin's choice for artists that I can't say anything about. It's like my mother told me, if you can't say anything nice about something, don't say anything at all.
Well, I only picked that one because I can listen to it for multiple things.
Yeah, well, I don't know this, so I can't say anything. So it's not because I can't say anything good about it. Can't say anything bad about it either because I don't know it.
It's very gentle music. It's great to listen to.
Well, I know that there are ones about the rain. Like I think I've come across some videos. It's like 20 hours of rain sounds. I go, oh my God. Like I'd be running to the toilet all the time.
I've got entire playlists on my phone about that as well. I've got one that's just thunderstorms. It's one of my favorite things to fall asleep to.
Now, I don't mind rain so much, but I remember as a kid, we lived shortly in a place that had metal roofing, and you have no idea what that sounds like in a heavy rainstorm. It's like it's like it's just loud,
Mm.
and you don't want to hear rain anymore if you've gone through that and trying to sleep, and it just sounds like gunshot on metal, on galvanized metal. It
The
just
weird thing is, being born and bred Scottish, I'd probably would fall asleep to it because listening to the rain is quite common.
well, see, that's the thing. That's a rain. The sound of rain and this is completely different. It's like literally, it's like pellets on metal. It's just, I don't know, and it probably differed for the pitch of it as well, of the roof. So yeah, but I don't mind rain occasionally. Well, especially living where I am here now, it's like I've now been here a year and a half, and I bet there's been less than a handful of days that it hasn't rained. It's always rained here. It just seems like it has, and it's like I got a courtyard out in the back that's concrete. It should be gray, but it's green because it's moss growing on it all the time. It's wet.
Which is unfortunately not safe to walk on either.
No, that's the thing, and I have to be careful with that. Beach Cafe Bossa Nova. Okay,
Is that lo-fi as well?
must be, or is that just
If it is, I'll be
well,
Googling that.
or it's just or it's rain. I don't know. Something I always remember fondly from my childhood is holidaying in my grandfather's caravan near Skegness, and the rain on the roof at night. Was it metal? Was it a metal roof? You definitely remember that.
It's one of the things I've always wanted if I had the money was to have a house that's got a nice, decent conservatory so I could just sit there and just watch the rain.
YouTube music. Okay, I
Ah.
don't know what YouTube music is other than music playing on YouTube.
It'll be a bit like that playlist. It'll be
Ah,
like one that you can just listen to. Because you get some folk, and they'll do some great mixes of certain songs. It's just like, oh, that sounds nice.
okay, now luxury item, and this is always something that I never know what it is until it happens, until I'm told.
There's two options. I have a safe for work and a not so safe for work.
Oh, right.
It depends on again, like which one I'd be allowed to have.
Adult advisory, adult advisory, adult advisory.
Do you want the safe option first?
Sure.
I'd probably get a tent because my Scottish pasty ass would not do well in direct sunlight, and I'd have to hide. Plus, they're normally a bit more comfortable as well. Okay, sand gets everywhere. They're not.
Okay.
Some of them are pretty spacious as well.
Well, I just saw this one on something that inflates. It's like this guy does something. I guess he's got a tube, or not a tube, but a canister, and it inflates, and it's like it just pops up, and you just walk into this, and I'm going, wow.
It's similar. The movie The Martian's got kind pop-up tents similar to that, where it's like the ribbed parts are
Yeah.
all inflate and it pulls up the canvas. But you can get like 2-story tents and everything.
How does that work? You can't walk on it, can you? Like
No,
on the
it's
second
like
floor?
underneath would be what you would class as your garage sort of area, and then the
Oh,
other one is basically like it kind of looks a bit like trampoline sort of stuff. So it's all springy. So it's like a giant hammock that you would sleep on up the top, and then have all your stuff underneath.
it wouldn't work for me though, probably.
I shudder to think how much that would cost.
Okay, so adult advisory now. What's you're not safe for work?
I would need birth control. Like, so, because the last thing I'm dealing with is PMS on an island that has no chocolate. So I would need like permanent, like the implant that you get, so you don't get your period permanently.
Okay, now I'm disappointed now at that. That wasn't what I was hoping for.
No, no toys allowed. But I'm no, because during that time of the month I can be mean without my chocolate. And I'm
Well,
not dealing with that. On the bright side, there'd be nobody around to kill, but
well, you're on a desert island which could have coca plants on there. Coca, I guess, yeah. Because isn't that, yeah, where that's where. But how does it become from the trees to then chocolate? There's got to be some refining thing there, or can you just uh carve out a piece of it and it doesn't taste like chocolate?
I have no
I don't
idea.
know. I don't know. I've never actually looked into that before. That's interesting. So maybe you could have your tent then, and your chocolate to eat. Your tent, and
Best
no,
of
it
both
doesn't work.
worlds.
You cake and you can eat it too. That doesn't quite work. Your tent and eat it too. I don't know. So yeah. So that is Desert Island Books. What number are we on here now? That's the fourth one. Yeah, it's
Fourth,
the
yeah.
fourth one. Yeah, yeah. And next week is going to be Roy at Roy Reads Anything. And that's 5 for this month. And I'm setting up April. So if anybody's watching, and even if you don't have a YouTube channel, that's fine. You don't even have to have the camera on yourself. If you've got the physical books, put the camera down on the table and just slide the book in and talk about it. And at least there's a visual there. And I think that can work out well. I'm hoping to get some commentators to do that because not just old booktubers, it just mix it up a little bit.
There's a few I wouldn't mind seeing what they'd pick up, like Heidi. She comes up with some great recommendations for books, and I swear if I could read faster, I'd read everything.
She's a commentator.
Mostly I speak to her on like Gareth and Dave's chats, because
Oh.
that's where she gets all the comment, because she reads a lot of fantasy as well.
Yeah, it's just anybody like that too. Like I say, they would have to speak though. That's the thing, because it's just like it's going to be kind of difficult otherwise. But you don't have to show yourself, because I can understand some people don't want to do that. Joseph says another great episode. Thank you. Heidi comments a lot. Okay, I'm not sure if I know her off the top of my head. So
I don't think she makes videos. I think she only comments.
Yeah. But yeah, it's anybody like that. And like I say, I'd like to get people that aren't even on YouTube. That'd be kind of cool to get some sort of maybe some authors or something like that. I'm gonna try to maybe corner or something like that, and see if they'll do it. Um, because it would be interesting to see what other people would do. So thanks for stopping by. As I say, next week, and it looks like I'm okay with the StreamYard, because it looks like they were correct, but they didn't tell me everything. They said once I stopped the freebie trial, it stops all my like the 20 hours and everything too. So all it did was it restarted the 20 hours immediately.
Oh, okay.
So
at least you go back to normal.
yeah, so I can do that, because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. Mick says, lovely episode. I'm going to have to rerun this to capture some of those weird titles.
Yeah, I don't read responsibly.
Oh,
hi MJ. Look, MJ, jumper. MJ comes everywhere with me.
well, I asked her to do the original one, and I don't think we could figure out a time to do it. So, well, the invitation's there now. Thank you both. Bye, everyone. Bye, Mick. I just caught the end of this. I'll be restarting it, and I hope you guys are well. Yeah, and we've got to figure out summer for some time for you as well. Like I say, and the problem with next month is it's Easter Sunday during the month, and nobody wants to do Easter Sunday, so I might have to skip a day. Oh, there you go. There's the zombie survival guide is on Maria's TBR for now.
It is so funny.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. So just ending it.